You know, when you consider the whole picture and you think about what these dogs and handlers have had to go through these first couple series, it's pretty amazing. The first series, they put on knee boots and they were in a duck boat with a bubble gunner and shooting and calling, and a bird at 20 yards and one flows right in front of them and lands at about 3 yards, and they got to sit tight through all that. Then they got to run a double poison bird blind. You get through all that and you survive. You take a deep breath and then you show up the next day. And the next day the judges are waiting on you with a 100-yard bird, a 190-yard bird, and a 466-yard memory bird. A lot of terrain in between you and that last bird. If you make it through that, and only a few of them will, what else can you call them but a super retriever? Welcome to the Jones Farm in Huntsville, Alabama.
And welcome to Huntsville, Alabama, the second stop of our SRS tour. Craig O'Neill with Justin Tackett. Justin, we're taking a look at the amateurs who competed in this year's event. This is one of the favorite stops on the SRS tour.
Third year here in Huntsville, Alabama. It's an outstanding venue. The Jones Farm's beautiful, rolling. It lends itself to great big tests, and you see the hard-running dogs up front with Will and Apostle.
And we had 70 pro teams you're looking at here that started, and these are the top 12. One thing you'll notice, Banjo has a huge lead.
He's way, way out in front. Craig, as long as he doesn't end up with an injury, he's got this thing in hand, I think.
Oh, what a cast we've assembled for this great drama. We got some new faces, new dogs to go with some wily veterans. They've done their hunt test scenario in a boat and in a big field. Now we're going to see how they do with a hunt savvy test. Will these dogs be able to perform? But wait, that's not all. We're also going to go to one of our favorite spots, the dock at Huntsville, Alabama. No one puts on a Superfly competition like Huntsville, Alabama. We absolutely love it. The Alabama State Duck Calling Championship going on too while we're watching these dogs jump, as well as a wildlife art fair. Great times for the family and for you.
The Super Retriever Series, powered by Eukanuba. Max Prairie Wings, America's premier waterfowl outfitter. Avery, welcome to your life. And by these fine sponsors: Thunder Equipment, Ducks Unlimited, DNT Media, and by Huntsville Sports Commission.
When we come back, we'll take a look at what the judges have set up for us this time. We're back in Huntsville, Alabama. 2 big runs left. Before we get going with this drama, let's check in with Justin Tackett.
Welcome to Jones Farm in Huntsville, Alabama, to the third series. Got to walk up, some other quirky stuff, dog blinds, all kind of fun stuff. I'm going to take you through it. Handler's going to get here. He's going to load 2. He's going to put 2 more shells in his pocket. He's going to walk up with his bubble gunner behind him. As he gets to this area of the course right here, he's going to look up and he's going to have 2 pheasants pop out. One out there at about 50, shoot that one. It falls in an undulated kind of a groove in the ground up there. The second one comes out here about 10 or 15. Keep them steady. The judges don't want you to pick it up just yet. As you look at this terrain, it's rolling, a lot of rocks, a lot of difficult stuff for the dogs to deal with. Plenty to make the handlers nervous. If you look around on the ground, there's a lot of logs, some rocks. The grass is tall, a lot of divots and undulating stuff here. So it's going to be difficult, and the dogs are going to have to really focus to make sure they see and remember those. Once they get settled into the blind, 2 more come out. This one comes out at about 100 yards, going completely away up towards the decoys. If they overrun that thing and they get in those decoys, it could be a tough trap, and the handlers may have to pull them out with a cast or a whistle. Last bird comes out right in here, and it's undulating, tall grass, only about 40 or 50 yards, but if the dogs don't know exactly where it is, they're going to be very difficult to find. They pick up those 4. They settle in for the long blind. Come out. You got to hit that down log right there. If you don't, that's 10 points. As they climb their way up, they've got to hit that piece of rock there. That's the line to the blind. They'll start to kind of angle up the hill there. Remember, it's going to be difficult for the handler to kind of pick up the dog because they will be in camouflage and they're on the side of this hill. Get up there about 200 yards right at the base of that tree. That's where the last bird's waiting. The dog that gets through this series, considering what they've been through in the water in the first series, big long marks in the second, if they can get through this thing, they'll be ready for the fourth and final series.
And who better to show you what they're up against than an experienced handler and trainer? He's an amateur, but he's been at it for over 20 years, Northrop Larson, and his dog, General.
Good guy, great dog trainer. General's a solid dog, but again, remember, he's a field trialer. And if there's any negatives to being a field trialer, it's short birds. I know they deal with long birds on a regular basis. Their dogs used to looking back and seeing them in white coats. You'll see, you look there, Northrop's got camouflage on. So we'll kind of see how it shakes out.
It's a whole different environment for General than what he's used to, isn't it?
That's what makes Super Retriever Series so difficult.
Here. Mark, here.
You've got to be able to do it all.
Got to concentrate, even though the gun fires. There's a gunner next to you.
See, Northrop did a good job getting in the blind, getting General in his dog blind. They look like old pros there. Shotgun's a little sticky. It's all right. Hop out of there,
Come
Northrop.
on, Northrop. You can get up. There you go.
Remember, these birds are shorter than what General's used to. And you'll notice he's getting a little deep there. And if he gets in those decoys, he's going to be in trouble. There we go. That's a good pick up there. Again, you know, you've got three judges that understand dogs very well. You got Johnson, Miller, and Catledge. These guys know exactly what they're trying to do. They took the dogs very long, checking their marking. This is another very difficult marking test. They're looking for steady at the line, control, all those things that make up a great retriever. But you don't have to have great distance if you have great bird placement. These guys have used the terrain, they've used the wind, they've taken this valley into account, and they've done a great job placing these birds. And I'm telling you, it's so easy to run over the top of them.
Northrop says one of the strengths of his dog, General, is marking. So far, about his performance at the line, you have to say that. And right now, his performance is pretty steady.
Yeah, he's in good shape. That first bird hurt him a little bit. If he can make it up, the two big tests I think here are that, and every one of these birds can be difficult, but he's got to be able to pick these birds up pretty cleanly and run a solid blind. Going for the last bird. And these guys are going to pick them up in some different ways. You'll see them, depending on their training, where they pick the first bird that was down up versus the last bird. Then the handlers will start to employ some strategy as they see other dogs and handlers run to kind of find out the very best way to do it. And that's one of the things about having a great score going in. You can see what's happening in front of you and kind of make adjustments.
You can maintain that great score by going to school with the other dogs ahead of you.
Great job, hit the log. That's the first little obstruction the judges are looking for him to hit. He's a little bit right of that rock face right there, and I think the judges are really looking for the dog to attack that.
Now this one's the blind.
Oh, see, now there's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. General's used to looking back and seeing his handler in white. This time his handler's in camouflage. Northrop would have probably done very well to take his cap off and use the inside of that white lining for the cast. Had he done that, it probably would have made a huge difference. You got to remember, he's looking back into the side of that hill. He sees decoys. He sees all that stuff. He needs to be able to pick out his handler, and Northrop's got to be able to help him there. He's had 2 cast refusals out of about 4, and it's not because General's being a bad dog or doesn't have the training. It's because he's not seeing him.
Amazing. Just that little sliver of white could have made all the difference there.
And just like in all great games, even in the retriever world, it's a game of inches.
All right, General gave Northrop all he had, comes away with 49 faults for that run, but you see the special challenges as we bring up a pro, Chris Jobman, his dog Dozier.
Stark contrast, is a pro, just like you said, but he's a hunt test pro. He runs a lot of hunt tests, and I'm telling you, this guy is a crazy duck hunter from Nebraska, probably hunts 40, 50 days a year. So he should be ready for this. This should be his game. And again, that's what SRS is all about. They come from a 500-yard mark in the second series to something real tight like this, and I'll bet you the judges have something long and nasty for them just to kind of balance the whole thing out. That's what they're looking for, a really balanced retriever.
All right, let's watch and see how Dozier marks here.
Good job, good job. Looks like he's seeing the birds. Staying tight, steady.
So Dozier probably goes hunting with Chris and is used to this scenario from that standpoint.
Right, and I'm sure his client probably I mean, that's what he does. He pays Chris to train him for hunting. And the hunt test and the field trials that come with it are just kind of, just kind of the good part of what you can do in the spring and the summer. Very good job. That dog's checking down and he's hunting, and the judges don't mind that. They'd love to see him go out there and pin that bird, but if he'll stay in the area and dig it out,
there's no fault or there's no penalty there.
Absolutely, and that's what we're looking for. I mean, that shows you a great hunting dog. That's what you're looking for.
All right, Dozier's doing pretty good.
Dozer.
Good, and you'll notice it's a real quiet, relaxed send. He's trying to keep him under control, let him know, hey, man, we're not going 400 here. We're going up 60 or 70, and I need you to think. Climb, don't get up in those birds, man. Oh, that's amazing. When you think about that, that bird was 10 or 15 yards away, and Dozier smelled it. I mean, we're talking about a piece of rubber out there in a great big field of a lot of smells.
Something was actually made in a factory, not organic, and yet the dog picks it up.
It's incredible. They've got unbelievable noses. Down in that dip, you'll see him in the left-hand top of your screen there. Came away with it.
Man, Dozier is nailing it, wouldn't you say?
He's doing a great job. Now, let's see what he does different than Northrop from a handling standpoint. Remember, he's used to wearing camo. His dog's used to looking back and trying very hard to pick him out. Oh!
Get over the log.
I don't know if he hit a piece of it or not. It'll be, whatever the judges think he did. We'll find out at the end. Remember, he's having to kind of side heel up there. He can't square it. The dogs really want to square. Now, you'll look. Chris has his cap off. That's right. He's going to use that white lining on the inside of that cap. Good whistle. Kind of broke down in some drag back, some extra scent there. Good cast from Chris.
And he actually has white in that cap.
Absolutely.
There's a good reason for that.
Absolutely. You need all the help you can get. And he's right there. Ooh, it's a little swirly and squirrely up there. I saw the test dog have some difficulties. Yeah, I think the judges, what they've done is, and whether they did it on purpose or not, they've got an excellent blind that you've got to finish. You've got to put the dog right on it. There you go. 20 points better than general, and I think the majority of the reason for that, you had a more experienced handler in this scenario.
It's the fashion accessory that makes all the difference out in the field and with the hunt test. We're going to the dock here in Huntsville when we come back.